pay out. And so God allowed him to go. And I think the reason why God allowed him to go is because God was going to use him. Even in spite of his bad motive, God used him to prophesy over Israel and to bless Israel because his word carried power. And when he was called to curse Israel, when he got there, the king got mad because every time he tried to curse Israel, God turned the word into a blessing. So God even used him in spite of his disobedience and rebellion. It's amazing how God can use people who think they're doing their thing, and yet God can still use them for his glory. But eventually Balaam was killed. Balaam was killed. It's in the book of, I believe, Deuteronomy. It says when they went into the land, when they drove out the enemy, they killed Balaam the soothsayer. So he eventually died. When Joshua went into the land and began to kill the Canaanites, Balaam was in that land and he was killed. Let me, because some of y'all looking at me like, is that in the Bible? You got it? Or says it? I want to show it to you. He eventually died, a soothsayer. And I'll find it. We can do the next question.
Alexis, I didn't ask the question.
You didn't ask the question yet?
No, I was just thinking.
All righty. Told y'all to ask the question. Go ahead.
When you see that, whether it's in yourself or you, I see sometimes with prophetic people that happens. How do you pray, or what do you do?
How do you pray for what?
When you're seeing God said, and it's an answer according to the vain imagination.
You know, the thing is, you know, the heart is so wicked. It says, who can know it? One of the things I pray about deception for people is out of Psalms 51. Psalms 51, it says God will give us wisdom in the inward parts. So you have to pray for their heart, that God will give them a new heart, that he would begin to, I begin to break deception out of them, but I do it out of Psalms 51.
Why are you worried about that, darling? Have you seen that happen? Have you seen it happen? Okay. All right. Did she answer your question? Don't give us a courtesy yes.
No, but the person, listen to this. Let me say this. A person in deception, the power of deception is the person thinks they're right. So the only way, you have to pray that God would speak to them. So I started praying that God would create in them a clean heart and renew a right spirit within them. You know, that God will cause truth to come into their inward parts. And in the hidden parts, God will give them wisdom. So if you look at Psalms, I talk about that in the book about breaking deception. Okay, go look at it. It talks about breaking that spirit of deception.
Yes, it's Joshua 12:22. Balaam the son of Beor the soothsayer did Israel slay. Joshua 13:22. So he eventually died. He was killed as a soothsayer, even though God used him to prophesy over Israel. Okay, who's next? Go ahead.
Why isn't there more healing? That we are.
There's a lot of healing. You haven't seen any? You see no healing?
I feel like the people of God should be able to.
But the one problem we have in America is why isn't there more healing? There's a lot of healing taking place.
That's true.
But there's a lot of reasons. It could be unbelief. It could be lack of anointing. It could be a lack of faith. It could be disobedience. It could be a lack of deliverance. Sometimes infirmity is connected to demons. I think one of the major reasons why people are not healed as much is because we don't deal with demons.
That's true.
Jesus healed people by casting demons out. And so sometimes we like healing, but we don't like deliverance in churches. A lot of churches have healing ministry, but they don't deal with demons. A lot of infirmities are caused by bitterness, unforgiveness, rejection, fear, anger, rage. And if you don't deal with demons in America, your healing ministry is going to have a limit if you don't do deliverance. The way Jesus healed people, Matthew 8:17, that it says he cast out the spirit with his word and healed all that was sick, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet Isaiah. Himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses. That's a quote from Isaiah 53, Matthew 8:17. Himself took our sicknesses and himself took our infirmities and bare our sickness. But the previous verse, 8:16, says he cast out the spirits with his word and healed all that was sick, that it might be fulfilled by the word of the prophet Isaiah. Himself took our sickness and bare his infirmity, bare our sickness and carried our infirmity. So it's connected primarily to him casting out spirits with his word and healing those who are sick. Many people that Jesus healed, he cast demons out of. And so sometimes in America, we don't deal with deliverance. And because people don't believe Christians can have demons. They don't believe that, if you're a Christian, you can't have a demon. That's the biggest battle I had, And I say, Christians got something. Yeah. Do you know a lot of Christians I know? They got something. It ain't God. And so, so that's another reason why. So there could be a lack of faith, a lack of glory, a lack of prayer, a lack of consecration, a lack of holiness, too much carnality, too much unbelief in the church. These could be some of the reasons. But there's still a lot of healing going on. But I do believe it needs to be raised. And I believe there are too many sick believers. Right. We believe in healing too much for too many of us to be sick. So we do need to increase it and believe God for an anointing to really see more sick people healed.